Hello, everybody. We're back. Welcome to the Home Bliss Show. I am Mo Davis, a senior sales consultant, aka professional matchmaker at iGolden1 Realty and Concierge. And to my right is.
Hi, I'm Matt Landsberg.
And Matt, who are you with? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm with CLA Title and Escrow. I'm one of the founders for a 4-year-old title company. We're based in the DC metro area, but we're a national company licensed in 42 states.
Oh, wow. And how many states are there? 42. Okay, that's pretty good. Yeah. Okay, and to your right?
I'm Rachel Korb. I'm with Prime Lending. I work out of Gaithersburg, Maryland, and I've been in the business for 20 years now.
Rachel, come on, you're 30. We
Bless your heart.
This.
Yes,
come
I'm
on.
30.
Okay, and to your right?
I'm Nicole Martinez. I am with House of Steel. I'm a licensed clinical therapist in the DC and Maryland area.
Okay, so good evening. Thank you all for joining us again. And today, we're going to discuss several things. We're going to discuss how title plays a role in real estate. We're going to discuss mortgage lending, first-time home buying, and it was something else. Oh, the Maryland Mortgage Program, other first-time homebuyer programs, and of course, Nicole, our resident mental health therapist, is going to give us tips on how to manage our stress and just, things to help keep us calm as we go through the process of home buying or home selling, because it can be stressful. So I'm going to ask Rachel if she would talk to us first about, I think you said, steps for first-time home buyers?
Well, yeah, it can be a very, very stressful process. Being there myself, I know. So a lot of it, you have to prepare yourself to bring a lot of paperwork to the table.
Yes.
Mortgage lending is not the same it used to be 10 years ago. You're going to need a lot of documentation. Expect to spill your beans.
Yeah, okay.
Your asset statements, bank statements, pay stubs, tax returns, W-2s. Also, changes in credit.
Okay.
Don't go buying a new car before you.
Come on, Rachel. That BMW looks so good.
Yeah. Don't go making any big purchases, any big changes. Don't change employment if you're planning on purchasing a home.
Okay.
Also, in the process, you're going to have to find a good realtor.
Okay.
Someone who knows the business and has been in it and knows a lot about mortgage banking. And after speaking with you, I can tell you're very savvy.
Thank you.
So that's a big key factor too, having an agent that is very knowledgeable in first-time home buying.
One thing I always wonder, why is it that mortgage lenders ask buyers for the same documents over and over? So let's say initially when the person goes to the loan officer will say, okay, send me your pay stubs and your bank statements and things like that. And then once they get a ratified contract, the offer is accepted, then they'll ask them for the same documents that they've already sent. It seems to frustrate people a lot.
That is very frustrating, and I can understand that frustration. Sometimes loan docs expire.
Oh, okay.
They have to be within 60 days.
Okay.
2 pay stubs, they have to be consecutive.
Okay.
Asset statements, they also get dated. They also need to be consecutive.
Okay.
We need all pages of the asset statements. Whether they're blank, whether it just has a little tool on the bottom, we have to have all pages.
Okay.
It's very frustrating. Sometimes it can get lost in translation. We have to work with a processor, an underwriter. Emails, things get missed when they get scanned.
Okay.
You have to be prepared for that, and you need a lot of patience.
Okay. Okay. Nicole, if you could just talk to us a little bit about, if you could just recap for us what you talked to us about last week when I asked you, I need to stop saying so much. If someone could count how many times I say and inbox me how many times I say and I will give you a prize. I'm going to try my best not to keep saying and like. But Nicole, if you could just recap for us about what I asked you about managing stress throughout the home buying process.
So one of the things that I talked about was basically managing your expectations very well. One of the things that I wanted to kind of point out was that in order to manage your expectations, you need to know what you're expecting.
Okay.
So write down what your expectations are. Have proper communication with your realtor, with your loan officer. Continue to write down questions throughout the day or throughout the process that you have so that you can be fully informed so that you can make an educated decision.
Okay.
And then that actually lessens your frustration as well. I continue to tell people, do not change your day-to-day course. When it comes to managing stress, what kept you stress-free is what's going to keep you stress-free. So
Okay.
if you go to the gym in the morning, then continue to go to the gym. If you're eating healthy, do whatever you can not to eat improperly when it comes to, because we know when we stress out, we tend to go towards the more unhealthier things,
Yeah.
and then that makes us even more stressful.
Yeah.
When it comes to exercising, make sure that you are doing that. Do the things that you're doing day to day on a normal basis so that you can continue to manage that stress.
Okay. Okay. That sounds good. Matt, if you could just talk to us a little bit about the role of the title company, because a lot of people have no idea what a title company is. I mean, I get asked all the time, what is a title company? What do they do? Why am I paying them? What's the purpose? Am I going to meet them? You know, just questions like that people, they want to know. What do you all do?
Absolutely. Everybody knows who the real estate agent
Yes.
is. They know what the real estate agent is on the seller or buyer side. They know
Yes.
who their lenders are. But we're definitely the least known in the process, and
Yeah.
certainly the most obscure as far as what are we actually doing. So we essentially represent the transaction. We don't represent the buyer. We don't
Okay.
represent the seller or the lender.
Okay.
We follow the contract, and
Okay.
as soon as the contract comes to us, we do a title search. And so we're looking back in the history of the title in the land records, making sure that the title is clean. And so
Okay.
when the seller transfers that property to the buyer, that there's no issues with the title. So
Okay.
there's no what they call clouds on title.
Okay.
So that's really the core piece. But on a more topical level, we basically take the contract, we do the search, we send the necessary information that the lender needs to know that it's protected from their standpoint,
Okay.
and then gather a lot of the information needed before settlement. We'll conduct the settlement itself. So I, for example, might conduct the settlement. After settlement, we'll disperse all the funds to
Okay.
everybody, and then we'll record the property in the land records.
Okay. And
That's your quick and dirty version.
It's very good.
Yeah, sometimes I know you all do hold earnest money deposits sometimes. So how does that work? Because I know sometimes real estate companies will hold earnest money deposits. So what is the difference between a real estate company holding an earnest money deposit versus a title company holding the earnest money deposit?
As far as we're concerned, it doesn't really matter.
Okay.
It's in some cases the earnest money is held in the event that there's some dispute
Okay.
and somebody tries to back out of the contract. And
Okay.
so then it really comes down to, well, what happens in that dispute if it ends
Okay.
up going to court, for example? Then whoever it is that's holding that earnest money is going to have to potentially turn it over to
Okay.
the government or the state, so that whatever is resolved in the dispute, determining where that money goes.
Okay.
So to some degree, there's an element of liability
Okay.
with holding that, or anytime you're holding other people's money, there's some
Yeah.
liability involved.
Yeah.
But that's the primary piece as far as who should hold it. But as far as we're concerned, it doesn't matter. We hold it all the
Okay.
time. A lot of times, various brokers like to hold their earnest money.
Okay. Rachel, can you tell us a little bit about the Maryland Mortgage Program? Is that the most popular program right now?
We do work with the Maryland Mortgage
Okay.
Program. We also we do bond programs with DC as well.
Oh. Okay.
Yes. There's a lot of funding out there for
Okay.
these types of loans.
Okay.
A lot of bond programs also offer down payment assistance, like the
Okay.
Maryland Mortgage Program, which
Okay.
is phenomenal for first-time home buyers.
Okay.
It helps cover the closing costs and also down payment, depending
Okay.
on which type of program you choose or you
Okay.
fit or you qualify for as far as
Okay.
your lender determines
Okay.
based on income, because income and credit scores are going to be a part of that factor.
Okay.
Usually a 640 credit score is the minimal for
Okay.
those programs.
Now, if you could tell everyone, what's your feedback? I don't want to say your thoughts, your feedback on, I see advertising a lot of times for credit scores as low as 580. I see advertising for 100% financing. Exactly what does that mean?
My lending institution, we do not do 100% financing per
Okay.
se, unless it is a Maryland mortgage program.
Okay.
That's a whole different, category.
Okay.
I'm sorry, what was the first part?
The 580.
Oh,
the
580 credit
580
scores.
score, yeah.
I don't know about those. That would
Okay.
be more like a broker type
I got you.
credit score.
Okay.
That's something steeper than my
Okay.
lending institution would do.
Okay, so tell us about the Maryland Mortgage Program, because I think I have had someone use that maybe a time or two. If you could just tell everyone,
Oh,
tell
sorry.
everyone, it's okay. Tell everyone about that.
Trying to avoid that. Well, the Maryland Mortgage Program is set aside for people, with moderate incomes to qualify for a house. They also set aside separate monies in order for you to have a down payment. Some offer $5,000, $15,000 to basically cover all the closing costs, so you don't have to bring any money to the table. It's a great first-time home buyer program. People are just starting out, and if you live in Maryland, it's phenomenal. But DC also has some bond programs as well.
Okay.
So it helps with any financial, situation you may be in where you're strapped for cash. Oh, I don't have this money to put down on a house. I'm never going to be able to own a home. It helps, get the American dream. It helps them get their first home.
Okay. So with the Maryland Mortgage Program, about how much of their own money do they have to put into it?
There's sometimes they don't have to bring any money to the table
Okay.
because the funds will actually, cover all the closing costs.
Okay.
You know about seller help.
Yes.
Your realtor's going to ask for seller help,
Okay.
and there's usually none of their own money that they have to bring to the
Okay,
table.
so that's a really
if
good
they have
program.
it, that's great. But
Okay.
Yeah.
So that is a really good program. And you said a 640 credit score? Okay.
yes.
And what about,
And that changes. The thing about lending, there's so many gray areas, and they're constantly changing and revamping guidelines, underwriting guidelines, and especially bond programs.
Okay.
So we have to constantly keep up on those and checking in on those.
okay. I know something that had come up recently with me as far as contracts, as far as the people that are going to be on the title and everything. So, Matt, if you could just tell us a little bit about how that works. Let's say if we have a husband and wife, but only the husband is on the loan, the wife is not, so she can't go on the contract, which means she wouldn't essentially be on the title at settlement. But the husband wants her to be on the title. How can they do that?
Yeah, there's certainly ways to add people to title after the transaction's taken place, and depending
Okay.
upon the relationship of the two people, is really what's important, right?
Okay.
So if you wanted to add somebody who's not immediate family, it's a little more complicated.
Okay.
It can involve transfer taxes, but
Okay.
something like adding a spouse to title is fairly straightforward, and you can do a quick claim deed and
Okay.
bring somebody on and add
Okay.
them to the underlying title.
Is it expensive?
If there are no transfer taxes, it's
Okay.
generally not expensive.
If it's a spouse, it's not.
It's
transfer
usually just a
taxes.
recording fee, so it
Okay.
depends on which jurisdiction you're in, but
Okay.
it's fairly inexpensive. I mean, you're talking less than a couple $100.
Okay, that's not bad. Okay, that's not bad. That's not bad. Okay. So.
Some title companies will charge for a deed preparation and all that. We don't
Yes,
do
I've
any of that
seen-
stuff.
yeah.
So it's, but it can be expensive when you get transfer taxes
Okay.
involved in certain jurisdictions. It can be very expensive, and
Okay.
many thousands of dollars.
Okay, and you all do travel because I've had many settlements at CLA, title and escrow. See, I said again, and
I wasn't counting.
probably
I didn't notice.
I probably have only had 2 over the past year actually at your company in Rockville. So you all will travel. I was getting ready to say it again. So if you're interested in using Matt's services, his company services, they will travel to you. They're located in Rockville, but they'll definitely come out to your realtor's real estate office if you are not using me as your realtor, or if you need to do the quick claim deed to add someone on and you want to use their services, they'll definitely be available. I need another word besides because
Just take a pause.
I think you're doing fine.
You're
Okay.
fine.
I have been counting, Mo. I didn't even notice.
when I look back at this
You're
video,
fine.
like, why do you keep saying what is wrong with you? Use your words. Okay.
You're looking for the right thing to say.
Your brain is going faster than your mouth. That's
Trying to
all.
remember, you have no notes what you're doing off the cuff. You're doing great. Don't worry about it.
Thank you, Rachel. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Nicole, if you could tell us a little bit more about managing stress. I know last week I was asking you how can people stay calm throughout the process because it gets to be overwhelming. Everyone is excited in the beginning. I'm getting ready to buy a house, or I'm getting ready to sell a house and move up or move down, or out of state relocations coming in and out. But as you go through the process, especially during contract negotiations, that can be stressful, the waiting. Sometimes with foreclosures or bank owned or short sales, there's a waiting period, and it can be stressful because your offer is in, but you haven't received feedback yet. Is it going to be accepted? Is it going to be countered? You just don't know. So it's difficult sometimes for people to stay calm. I've seen people really get worked up, and if you could just give them some tips on how to keep calm.
Well, as I stated before, the very first thing is being able to manage your expectations, writing down what your expectations are. Also writing your vision down. What is it that you actually want to see? So you found this perfect home. What made it so perfect? What was your top 3, top 5 things that you really liked about it? Because just in case something happens, which we all know that's a possibility, we can actually quickly move into finding something else that covers everything,
Right.
That it embodies your vision. And that's really what we fall in love with. We fall in love with our vision.
Yes,
You know, it's
definitely.
not necessarily that home. It's what that home offers us and how we see ourselves in that home and what we see ourselves doing in that home or in that neighborhood. So I would definitely write down my vision and kind of just remind myself what that vision is. Keep looking at it over and over, in addition to looking at what your top 3 to 5 are. In addition to that, again, do not change your day to day. You're frustrated. I'm bothered by asking me for the same document over and over and over because I went through that process too, and that was very frustrating.
Sorry.
But just know that they're gonna ask me for it about 3 or 4 times, so I'm gonna write down one time. And I'm going to be funny. You know, sometimes you have to make a game about it. This is the third time. Right. This is the third time they've asked me for it. And I'm going to write down, she's really getting on my nerves. And I write that down, and then you push it to the side. Or even, and that was actually the next thing, get a sounding board, someone that you can actually talk to, that you can vent your frustrations out with.
You can call me and vent. I don't mind.
Absolutely.
And then she'll call me and vent.
Yep, absolutely. Get a punching bag, get some boxing gloves on, get a punching bag and punch it out. Do things that the biggest thing is do not change your day to day.
Okay.
Do not change your day to day, because once you do that, you become frustrated with more than just the process. You're frustrated with everything else, and then once you become frustrated with everything else, then you're ready to just give up.
Right.
Yeah. And one of the things as far as managing expectations is that there are so many variables in the home buying process, and it is considered one of the most stressful experiences anybody has to go through. I mean, I think divorce and immediate family death are like
Yep.
up there, and then soon after there
five.
is buying a property. But if the contract says that the settlement's going to be October 30th, it may get pushed. It's just the reality of things. There are a lot of variables that could come into play, and so knowing what to expect and having that conversation with your real estate agent and your lender and perhaps your title company as well. There's a lot of reasons why, if everything isn't checked off exactly along that timeline, there's a chance it could move to a different
constant communication. I think the one thing that we do in our society is that we think we speak one time and that's it. And we forget that we have to have an ongoing. This is a relationship. And in relationships, we have to build every single day, you know? And so you speak with your title company, you speak with your loan officer, you speak with your realtor almost every single day. The realtor is someone that you probably should at least speak with every day, because they're your go-to. They're the people that will kind of let you know, where we are in the process. It is a little bit, like, I don't want to bother them, but that's their job.
You can bother me, it's okay.
That's their job. They're getting paid for that. So I just think that the proper communication, managing your expectations, and not changing your day-to-day is very, very important. Writing everything down, writing your vision down, and being able to really understand and know. Writing all the questions down that you
Yeah.
have.
Yeah.
That's a big one.
Yeah, writing all your questions down.
And it's important. No question. It's just like when you were in elementary school and they said no question is what is it? No question is a stupid question or whatever. It's really not, because if you don't know, you don't know, and that's what we're here for. We're here to answer your questions. We're here to try and keep you calm. And I mean, I don't even have all the answers. I may have to seek out an answer. So it's okay if you have a question if something is not clear, because you may have something that's bothering you, but once you get the answer, it may not even be as bad as you're thinking. So that's important. And I touched on that in the first show, that choosing a realtor, choosing your mortgage professional, choosing your title company, all of those are really important, because as Nicole said, it's like a relationship. You're going to be spending a lot of time together. You're going to be talking a lot, and you want to have someone that you're comfortable with, someone that matches your lifestyle. I sound like an ad. I mean, maybe I need to
It's all true, though. It's valid.
You know, it really is, because you will spend a lot of time together. Some of the transactions I have, as Matt mentioned, they get delayed. I have one short sale transaction that has been going on since March, and so it's been a while. But don't let that deter you. Sometimes it's okay to take that long in transactions, because you get really good deals from short sales. You get really good deals from foreclosures, and things like that. So don't hesitate if you have questions, because we more than likely we have the answer for you. We do. And it was something else I actually asked Matt when I got here about the power of attorney, because I know sometimes things happen throughout the process. The buyer may have to go out of town, or anything can happen where they're not available and they need documents signed. So if you could just tell us a little bit about the power of attorney, how that works. You and Rachel, if you guys can tell us about that.
Right. Essentially, the power of attorney gives the right for a designated agent to sign certain documents on the other person's behalf. So, for example, if Rachel and I needed to sign loan documents together, and she was traveling the world, and in a particular time she might be in wherever you might be,
Italy.
she could, in Italy, of course, she could sign a power of attorney over to me. And so
Okay.
as long as we had that document prepared beforehand and it was approved by the lender, then I would be able to sign on her behalf.
Okay.
So now the language and the paperwork is a little bit different, but is
And like we were saying earlier, it does have to be lender specific. It has to go
Okay.
through our legal department. It is going to take a little longer.
Okay.
It has to get approved through my legal department's phenomenal.
Okay.
And I'm not just saying that because I've
Okay.
worked for other lenders.
Okay.
They're very expeditious in getting that completed.
Okay.
So, it is a little extra step in the process, allow for time
Okay.
in getting the power of attorney. And some documents actually have to be signed by that party. So,
Okay.
like some loan document forms, they
Okay.
can't be a POA.
Okay.
So things like that. But
Okay.
prepare for that too.
Okay. So that's good to know.
And there are
about
times
that.
too where we have certain times where we might have you sign a power of attorney and you got to Italy before you, and you knew whoever it was that was buying the property was going to go about doing that, and so you go ahead and give them that access. But now we'll have you, because you didn't have that document notarized and that power of attorney done beforehand, that now we're going to have you go to an embassy, for example, in Italy,
What a
and
mess.
we can have you go about doing it that way. And yes, it is a mess. It is complicated, and you might have
But
to
it's
see your
possible.
therapist. But
And that's where the proper communication comes in.
but
Don't do that.
it is possible, and we can still move forward in the
Yes.
process, even if not all parties are present.
Okay. Okay, it's an option. It doesn't happen too often, but of course, if it's needed, then we'll definitely try and accommodate. But I mean, if you go to Italy, then you know my number.
All right. I'll bring you along. For sure.
That's a good stress reliever too.
Yes.
Traveling.
Yes.
Well, somebody's got to be here to sell the real estate.
I mean, there's FaceTime,
Okay.
email, text, technology.
You can
is-
do electronic signature on all your docs now. So
Yeah, speaking of electronic signatures, I have noticed that more and more banks, as far as short sales, are accepting the electronic signatures.
it's come a long way.
So it really is helpful. I love electronic signatures because I can get a document signed quickly. I don't have to print out and go and try and meet the person, get back, scan it, and things like that. So technology
It's a
has been
lifesaver.
really helpful. Yes, yes.
It really is.
Yeah. So if you could tell us a little bit more, Rachel, about how, if someone's thinking about buying a house, should they pre-plan let's say if they want to purchase in the spring, how soon should they start? Because I'll have people that will call me and they'll say, okay, it may be summertime, and they'll say, okay, I want to move in the spring of next year. And I think that may be a little too soon, but
Yeah.
should they be pre-planning? What are some things that they should do, and how far ahead should they plan for their purchase?
I think that can be a very personal thing, and also depending on if they have a house to sell, is that,
Okay.
they're purchasing a house going to be contingent upon
Okay.
them selling their house. That's something that's, that can get a little hairy,
Okay.
because people, I'm sure you've had back-to-back settlements where they're
Yeah.
selling their house and purchasing their next one the next day
Yeah.
or the same day. I mean, personally, and from what I've experienced, I would say 3 months is probably
Okay.
a good time.
Okay.
I don't know if you would agree with that on the real estate end.
Yeah, probably no more than that. Just because
Yeah, it's
houses go fast.
Yes.
We're
A month
in
and a
that-
half on the
yeah.
market around.
Yeah, it's quick. So yeah. So as far as getting pre-approved, what would you say are some basics that people should have when they contact you to get their pre-approval?
Well, for pre-approval, we're basically going to need just basic information, their income, their assets, what type of loan program they're looking for, and that's part of the lender to see what program they would fit best into
Okay.
based on, their employment, their assets, their income. We just need basic information, of course, permission to pull their credit.
Okay.
Credit is obviously going to be a big factor in the loan process.
Okay.
And are you willing to put down 3.5%, 5%, 10%? All that's taken into consideration, based on what you qualify for.
Okay.
And I'm sure you've run into this a lot. And I did too when I was on the real estate end. What people want and they envision in their heads. They want the $500,000 house
Right.
for the $250,000 house.
I think we're back to expectations.
Managing your
again.
expectations. Absolutely.
So that's
Yeah.
a huge, setting realistic expectations is
Yeah.
huge. And when they see that pre-qual letter, that pre-approval, I know you want a pre-approval letter, that's when you actually pull their credit, see their,
Yeah.
income. There's a pre-qual and there's a difference between a pre-qual and a pre-approval letter.
Okay. What's the difference?
Well, a pre-qualification,
I almost fell out of my seat. Okay.
a pre-approval is basically when we're really digging in more. We're seeing, pay stubs, how much you
Okay.
make. We're running it through an automated underwriting system. It's a more in-depth, you really do qualify for this amount. You get a
Okay.
pre-approval, not a pre-qual.
Okay.
As far as the realtor
Okay.
would go.
That was something I was going to ask you to explain. Oh, interest rates. A lot of people don't quite understand how interest rates work. And even I really have come to a better understanding over the past probably 6 months that interest rates change every day, and I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's based on prime, and the market, and that changes every day. The market changes every day. So each lender, is going to have a little variable rate,
Okay.
Based on the lending institution and their pricing, and
Okay.
that's going really deep as
Okay.
far as the surface. But rates do
Okay.
change every day. They change based on the loan program. The
Okay.
Maryland mortgage program, they have their own set rate.
Okay.
We don't regulate that at all
Okay.
in our institution.
Okay.
So yeah, they are going to change, and it depends on, like, jumbo loans have different rates, ARMs have different rates.
Okay.
Government loans have different rates. So
Okay.
it's really going to vary based on your loan program. Your credit score plays a factor in that.
Okay.
How much you're putting down. It's very complicated, the rate. So you can't compare. I couldn't compare your rate to what Matt's going to get.
Right.
You just can't do that. You can't compare rates with friends. Well, I got 3.5% where he went. Well,
Yeah.
what's your credit score?
People try and do that too.
You
It's so
can't.
funny
You can't
to
do
me.
that. Yeah.
Yeah,
that's-
you can, because you don't know the whole picture. Debt to income
Exactly.
plays a part.
Exactly.
And that's another thing. Debt to income ratio. A lot of people, they have high salaries. They have great credit scores, but they're carrying so much debt. And that can be a huge issue, because if you have almost as much debt as you do income, even if you're paying your bills, that's really not a good thing. And I think a lot of people don't take that into consideration when they want to purchase, because they're like, okay, but I make $100,000 a year. I want a $500,000 house, but they have so much debt that they're qualifying for maybe $200,000.
And it's
I've
great
seen
you
that
understand
happen.
that, because a lot of people don't understand, you know. FHA has a little higher ratio that we can go to on the back end.
And isn't that new? Didn't they
Typically-
recently raise it?
Yes, they're
Okay.
like I said, they constantly change
Okay.
the guidelines. So,
Okay.
you know, we usually use about a 45 back ratio.
Okay.
So 45% of your total debt compared to your gross
Okay.
monthly income.
Okay.
Yeah.
What would you say is a good amount? Because, you know, when people are looking, it's like Nicole said, their expectation, their ambition is really high. But generally, based on their income, how much of that per month do you feel can comfortably go towards their home purchase? Because that's always another thing. And I experienced that even with rentals. They're like, okay, well, I earn $5,000 a month, so why can't I rent a house that's $3,500 a month? You can, but on paper you have to qualify. So everything is about how you qualify on paper.
Exactly, but you know, you don't want to be house poor. You know, people get in over their heads. I personally would not want to be at the maximum debt to income ratio.
Right.
You know, it's what you're comfortable at. We can max you out. I can qualify you for the max rate, but are you comfortable with that payment? It's really a personal thing. Me personally, I don't think I would want to go to a 45 ratio myself.
Right. Okay.
You know, FHA can go higher than that.
Okay.
But you know, if you know you're going to be getting raises and you can handle that fine, that's when it becomes a personal. You know, that's when you talk to your lender. Okay, I give you different options.
Okay.
You know, what do you feel comfortable with paying? Do you want to pay the 45 back ratio, or would you like to stay more comfortable at 40 so you can eat?
I mean, that's important. That's important.
Eating,
you know?
feeding the kids, you know.
But I mean, if you don't eat, then maybe you need a 2-bedroom instead of a 3 because you're small and everyone can fit in 2. So, you know. But no, that's important, seriously, because you don't want to max yourself out. And also, I want everyone to remember that when you're thinking about home purchase, your first house doesn't have to be your forever house.
That's right.
It
That's
really doesn't.
very true.
And that doesn't mean that it has to be crappy. You can still have a very nice home. You know, it's not going to be that dilapidated barn looking thing that you see every day going to work. You know,
You can get a renovation loan. They're great. So we have experts in
Okay.
renovation loans.
Yeah, that's
so.
another option.
Yes.
A renovation loan.
So if
to
it can
fix
start
it up.
crappy, you just renovate.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. You know, you can.
You can't
get
do your
there.
own work when you get a renovation
You
loan, but
can-
you can
listen.
get a renovation loan.
Come closer. You cannot do your own work. Your uncle and your cousin. No. Okay.
Well, your uncle and your cousin, yeah, you can't do it.
Yeah, but what if they're not licensed? Because it's
Oh, well,
always-
yeah, that's a no. Yeah,
That's
they
what
got
I mean. You know, because people are like, well, my uncle does work and my cousin, my cousin paints. No, you can't do that because
You
it
can't
have
get
to
money
be-
for that, right?
You can't because it
Yeah,
have to be
not
licensed,
financing.
bonded, and insured in case something happens. If someone falls off a ladder in your house, what do you think they're gonna do first?
Sue you.
Exactly. So that's important. Okay, so that's good. So Matt, can you tell us why people should use your company? Besides my referral, Matt's company is great, but let's hear it from Matt.
Well, there's a lot of very capable title companies in the DC area and nationwide. One of the things I think we try to do to differentiate ourselves, and ultimately there's very little to differentiate us, right? I mean, at the end of the day, we're essentially a commodity. What we offer at the end of the process is the same as every other title company is we're doing the same thing. Essentially, it's really just how you go about getting to that end goal. So we try to pride ourselves on essentially great communication, again, so you can stay at your therapist's office. And
Very good.
I mean, everybody in our office, they're giving out their cell phones
Yes.
to the clients. So if you need to text somebody, you can reach them. If you need to reach them after hours, that's just part of our company culture. And we've tried to build that in. We don't have sort of the stodgy attorney office hours where we're in at 9, we're out at 4:30 or whatever.
Right.
I mean, whatever those hours are. We do try to go the extra mile for our client, and we also try to be very competitive on fees. At the end of the day, again, there's not a whole lot to differentiate one company from another, so we try to be very competitive, and we run a pretty lean operation, so we're pretty proud of our fees.
I love CLA. Okay, let
Thank
me
you,
tell
man.
you, I love you
So-
guys are great. The support staff is phenomenal, and I can't say that all the time because sometimes when my phone rings and I see a number, I'm like.
We had our growing pains, and we're not perfect. As much as I'd like to tell everybody we were perfect, we're not perfect. But we've grown a lot. We've done a lot of great things, and we're continuing to to give great service.
And you
They
get
do.
match, charm, and good look.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, you
you.
can't
What
beat
more
that.
could you ask
Oh, you
for?
guys
Yeah.
can have me on whenever you want.
Matt has conducted settlements for me, and they go great. You know, I actually had one person, a buyer. He was a first-time home buyer. Do you remember the guy who was about 82 years old? He read every document, and Matt was so
Oh,
patient.
bless you.
You know, I had another title company that came, and this guy, oh my goodness, the buyers had to go outside to discuss something. They had a little argument on the way there. They didn't have Nicole to talk to manage their stress. Okay, so he's like, "I gotta go. Are they coming back?" Sir, please calm down. Can they get 10 minutes? I mean, did you schedule your? So they're great. The service is really good. If I send an email, I'm going to get a response, and that's really important because if someone's asking me a question, that I have to ask someone else a question. It's important that time in between is good because I know for me, I don't want to wait a long time to get a response for something. So that's really, really important. And then I have to call Nicole and text her and
I was gonna say all the makings of a good relationship if you really think about it.
Yeah.
You know?
So those things
That's what makes a relationship successful.
yeah.
Communication.
Yes. I'm gonna start a matchmaking. I'm gonna start a matchmaking service because I think we should do that, Nicole. We should. Yeah.
I'm gonna be in on it.
Okay. Sounds good to me.
As I
You can
laugh.
pre-screen. Don't laugh.
As I
I'm
laugh.
so serious. You can pre-screen people back into their mind. Come sit on my couch. But no. If you are thinking about home ownership, don't be afraid. It is a huge step. One of the most expensive purchases you will ever make in your life. But that's why we have professionals. So if you're thinking about it, I would say, as Rachel said, about 3 months. I would say no more than 4 months, just because the average days on the market for Maryland suburbs is probably about 14 days. So you don't want to wait too long because once you start going and looking at homes online or if we're going out touring, they're going to be gone. A lot of properties, they set deadlines for offers. I saw one house on Saturday. It was listed on Friday and we saw it on Saturday and they had a deadline for Sunday at 3:30 to submit an offer.
Wow.
Yeah, and it wasn't renovated or anything. It was decent. It was a decent house, but it wasn't fancy or anything, but they did have that deadline, so it's important.
Are you noticing any escalation clauses on these
I like
contracts?
escalation clauses. However, they have not been selected recently. Escalation clauses were my key to success for a very long time because the thing about an escalation clause, I almost fell out my chair again. Let me just. The key to the escalation clause is when you're making an offer, you really don't know what other people are offering. So let's say if the house is $250,000, and you do your escalation clause where you start at $250,000, but you're going to go up to $275,000, but you're only going to pay $5,000 over the highest offer. So you're at $250,000, you're willing to pay $5,000 over the highest offer, but you're capping at $275,000. So let's say someone else offers $260,000, you would win at $265,000. So escalation clauses are really good because there's no way. So if you offer $275,000, essentially you paid $10,000 more than you had to. But sometimes escalation clauses are not accepted for bank-owned and foreclosure properties. They won't accept those. They just want you to make your highest offer. But I like them whenever they accept it. I like to use them because I think they give the buyer a good advantage.
I haven't seen a contract in a while with an escalation
Yeah, I
clause,
try.
was
I
just
try.
wondering.
Yeah, I try. What about refinances, Rachel? Because I know some people, some of our viewers already own a home. They may not necessarily want to sell, but they may want to refinance. They may want a lower rate, or they may have equity that they want to take out and use. So what about that?
Cash out refis are great, especially that, we're coming into a better market where people are coming out of being underwater.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
So I actually have a little bit of equity now in my home. So cash out refi, we're still in a purchase market. I mean, I might have a couple of refinances in the pipeline right now, but we're still in a purchase market, but refis are great. Even if you want to take out a home equity line of credit, whatever, refi rates are great as well
Okay.
right now. I mean, interest rates are still really, really good. So.
Okay. And the home equity line of credit is like, explain that a little bit because I have an understanding of it, but I don't know if it's correct.
Okay, well, a home equity line of credit kind of works like a checking account.
Okay.
With a lien against your house.
Okay.
You know what it's attached to your house.
Okay.
So, you know, basically you can use the money as you go along. You know,
Okay.
let's say you want to take out $10,000, you get a new roof.
Okay.
You can use that money towards, you know, your new roof.
Okay.
You know, you still have to pay on it every
Okay.
month. Interest rates are typically, you know, interest only on those.
Okay.
So it's a
So
little
that's not
cheaper.
bad.
It's a great idea, you
Okay.
know, if you're looking to, you know, get a big chunk of money and use it at your leisure. So it's pretty much works like
Basically, a
checking
cheaper
account.
version of a credit card in a way.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
exactly.
Now, as far as refinancing, does a homeowner have to have a certain amount of equity to refinance?
Well, that's when you if you're looking to avoid mortgage insurance, you want to stay at 80%.
Okay.
It depends on the appraisal. You know, you're going to pay
Okay.
$450 for an appraisal. You know, if you're not looking to get into mortgage insurance, you know, and your appraisal value doesn't come in, then you're going to end up paying mortgage insurance. You can, you know, back out of the deal if you don't like it, or the lender can lower, you know, the loan amount. You might have to
Okay.
bring some money to the table. There's a lot of variables in there that are going to take place. You know, if you're getting, you know, wanting a lower rate, you know,
Okay.
things like that. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Okay, that sounds good. You want to add anything to that, Matt? I know you don't know about the mortgage thing, but I was just thinking about.
Well, you still need a title company,
yes,
even
you
for
do.
refinance.
Even for
Not everybody-
refi,
You know,
yes.
everybody thinks about
Not any
us.
longer
If they think
refi.
about us at all, they think about us during the purchase transaction. But we're still needed for refinances.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the only difference from a title insurance piece is that the lenders require title insurance to protect their
Okay.
investment. So they want
Okay.
to make sure there are
It's a
no
little
liens
cheaper.
for them.
Re-
So it is,
reissue
it
rate
is,
with a
it is a little
refi,
bit
so.
cheaper, and you can ask for a reissue rate.
Okay.
And that can make it less expensive.
Okay. And there was something else regarding that.
So I have a quick question. So the purpose of the title company during the refi?
We're still helping. We're still doing title search. We're still making sure there's no liens on title. There's no issues essentially associated with the title, and we're providing that to the lender so that they can still go about the process. It's certainly far less involved than it is for a purchase transaction. There's not
Gotcha.
nearly as much data gathering or really at all necessary, but we'll still conduct the settlement. And we'll
And
still
they're
dis-
recording all the documents.
Yeah, we're
and
still dispersing all the money.
transfer taxes. And
Yeah,
things like
exactly.
that.
We're still getting a lot of
Good.
the information specific that the lender needs, the recording fees and then our fees. We'll conduct settlement. We'll still disperse all the funds
Okay.
as we would in a purchase. Pay off the old mortgage, for example, and then we'll still record
Record the new one.
the new mortgage and release the old mortgage.
Okay. That's
Thank
important. That's important. Okay. I think another thing that comes up a lot as far as purchasing, and not even necessarily a first-time home buyer, but just home buyers in general, when they think about purchasing, a lot of people go online and they look at various websites and they see, like today someone sent me a link for a house, and it was probably a 5-bedroom, 3.5 bathroom, 2-car garage, probably 3,000 square foot, and the estimated mortgage payment was $1,400. Like $1,480, exactly. Exactly. So it's important to understand on those websites that is just the principal, and I think maybe the
Oh.
interest they didn't. That might be principal and interest because there was no mortgage insurance included. There was no
Escrows.
taxes, no
Yeah,
taxes.
escrows,
Yeah, none of that was included. So that's why it's important to get with professionals to really give you a realistic view of what it is that you're looking at, because you have to include taxes. You know, you have to make a deposit into your escrow account when they purchase. They have to make.
And your insurance, your hazard insurance needs to go in there too. That's going
Yeah.
to be escrowed as well. And when you purchase a home, you pay a full year upfront.
Yes.
That's collected at the table.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
those are important things to remember. Your principal, interest, taxes, and insurance
Yeah.
should all be factored into that.
Yeah, and I
payment.
recently understood, because I haven't had a lot of buyers buy foreclosure properties, but I understand that they pay their taxes up front for years in advance, and so the buyer has to refund them. And so that can be a little expensive for the buyer too, because they have to, let's say if they bought their house this month, but the bank has paid their taxes for 2 years, then the buyer has to refund them essentially. So
Yeah.
that, that can make it expensive. So it's important to make sure you have your numbers right, and not really rely on websites, because the websites are designed to draw your attention, to get you to
Yes.
submit your info so that someone can call you, like me.
Bait and switch.
But, it's important to have your, to get in contact with your mortgage loan officer so that you can get the pre-approval and you can get an estimate for settlement. And, as far as what it's going to cost you for your closing costs, and at that point you get connected with your title company. So it's a process. And I know I was talking to Nicole about that earlier, about it being a process and just staying calm. And it's difficult because it can be stressful because you're being asked for so much information, and, it's a waiting game, and there's a lot of things going on. But if you rely on your professionals throughout the process, it does help it go a lot easier.
Absolutely.
It really
Trust
does.
is a huge factor.
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely trust, and I would also add relax. People have to learn to just kind of sit back, and in order to relax, you have to trust people.
Yes,
you have to trust
definitely.
that I picked the right team to support my vision and my dream. And so that team is going to deliver,
Yeah.
Whether it takes 30,
Yeah.
45, 60, or 90 days, they will deliver at
sometimes.
some point in time. So
Yeah.
learning to relax, get into a good meditation, whether it's just sitting in your living room or in your car or something for 10 to 15 minutes and just inhaling and exhaling. It sounds so corny, but it's like the best thing in the world. It really brings down like your anxiety, it brings your emotions back into proper perspective. It brings your thought process, because again, once our head goes kind of to la la land, then just everything just kind of goes out of whack. So just relaxing and just being able to meditate and taking the proper steps to do the communication is great.
Okay. Yeah, communication is key. That's true. And trust is important too. So that's why it's important to choose professionals that match your lifestyle, that you feel comfortable with, because you're going to be working closely with your realtor, with your mortgage professional, with your title company. And if you need Nicole, she will definitely be available too. Because it's nothing wrong with that. I think a lot of times people don't take their mental health into consideration. And it's very important, because our mind is what's strongest within us. That's what keeps us going every day. So we definitely need that to be strong. We definitely need that to be strong. So do you all have any closing remarks for us?
Yes. I can be found at lo.primelending.com/Rachel Corp.
Okay.
And, like she said, building trust is a big factor. I tend to be very close with my clients. I get to know them personally and about their lives, their children, and it becomes a very personal process. And it can be very emotional. I've gotten gifts from clients, and it's just the best feeling to know that someone got into a home because you helped them along
Yes.
the way. It's more
Yeah.
than just paperwork to me.
Yeah.
It's a personal experience. I've been there. I know
Yeah.
what it's like to do that as a single mom.
Yeah.
It's a big deal.
Yeah.
So it's important to like that person.
It is.
Liking that person is a big deal, but
It
that's
is.
for sure. But thank you for having me. I
Absolutely.
feel blessed
Yeah,
to be
it's
here.
been
You
fun.
guys are great. You guys are
Absolutely.
great.
Absolutely. Matt, do you have any closing remarks for us?
No, I mean, you can find us at clatitle.com, and you can find calculators on there. So if you're curious as far as what your closing costs, or at least our part of the closing costs,
Okay.
are going to be, you can go there.
Okay.
And of course, there's my cell phone. You can call or text anytime.
Okay. Do you all have a calculator for the transfer and recordation taxes?
Yep.
Yes, that's important. I
That is
even use
huge.
that.
Yeah,
Check and see what
the
that.
big caveat to that is you just need to make sure you put the information in correctly.
Right,
So
definitely.
because it can certainly give you different output if your
Yes.
input's not right.
Yes.
But it'll have title fees and settlement and recording fees.
Okay,
All transfer
okay.
taxes included.
Okay.
And also, I have an apply now button, so even if you just wanted to see if you qualify, you just apply
Okay.
now, and I get your information.
Okay.
Millennials.
Okay. And Nicole, do you have any closing remarks for us?
Yeah, well, I just want to, thank you for keep inviting me
Sure.
back, being your resident therapist.
Yes.
I can actually be reached at 507-3713, which is a direct cell phone number to me. I am in the Maryland and the D.C. area, and I have a office off in Camp Springs, Maryland. So you can find me at House of Steel, and that's STILL.com.
Okay.
One of the things I just constantly keep reiterating is managing your expectations and communication, just learning how to relax. But more importantly, let's remember that everyone is human. You know, whether it's your loan officer, your title company, the realtor, we can all make mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
So if we all work together,
God bless you
we
for
all
saying
work
that.
together,
That's the key.
your dream will come true.
Mm-hmm.
But the minute that, we start pointing fingers or kind of get into a real tissy, that's when things kind of go haywire.
Yeah.
So the key is really being able to work together, relaxing, breathing,
Yeah.
communicating,
Yeah.
and making your vision come true.
Yeah. Okay, sounds good. So I want you guys to tell me what the highlight of your week was. The highlight of my week was I got a few places without using my GPS. And that sounds really silly, but anyone that knows me knows that, oh boy, I take myself and others on tours that I can't tell them what the destination is because I don't know. My mother used to tell me that I need to have my GPS up loud, screaming at me. She's like, I just don't understand. How do you get lost and you have GPS? I don't understand. You're on the Beltway. You don't know where you're going, but you keep going. Yeah, but it goes in a circle. So, I mean, that really was my answer. That was my answer.
We're gonna have to update your app. Yeah.
It goes in a circle, so I just keep going. She's like, I'm so worried about you. You keep a full tank of gas and your cell phone charged up because you just don't.
An extra tank in the trunk.
I know,
right?
right? So that was my highlight. What about yours, Matt?
My highlight was just being able to see friends. I had a good friend's birthday party this weekend. I had a 0 at the end of the number, so it was a
Okay.
big
Wow.
celebration. So
Cool.
that was a lot of fun.
Was there cake and tequila?
There were adult beverages for
Okay,
sure,
okay.
and there was cake as well.
Oh,
Yeah, it was a good
sounds
time.
good to me. What about you, Rachel?
I know this is gonna be cliche, but I'm like, this is like the highlight of my week.
Aw.
I've been anticipating coming here.
Oh, good.
When Michelle tagged me, I was so happy. I was like, this is great.
Oh, good.
It's a great opportunity, and my son's watching right now.
Oh,
So I've been anticipating this. My whole
Good.
family, my cousin in Italy,
Oh,
she's
wow.
actually there. So I'm very excited about
Okay.
this.
Well, I
And
hope you'll come back.
yes, invite me. I will be here.
I absolutely will. What about you, Nicole?
Oh, wow. I actually have two kind of highlights.
Okay, I only asked for one, though.
I know you did.
I'm
but
just kidding.
as a therapist, we have to look at our lives like intrapersonal. One of the things that my son, he is really trying to get his reading under control.
Okay.
And so he was extremely excited to let me know that he was able to, he had a really good reading day.
Okay.
And so
Go, CJ.
as a parent, we all know that makes you
Yeah.
feel really, really good
Yeah.
to be able to, we've been every night, and I'll be home soon. We read together, and he reads me a bedtime story.
Aw.
And so he was pretty excited to be able to read a certain passage without having any trouble
Aw,
in his
That's
class.
great. What's
So
his name?
his name is Christian.
Way to go, Christian.
Yes.
Yeah. So what was the
That's
other
right.
one?
Well, the other one is that I actually signed my contract for my new property. So that's a more personal one.
So that
But I'm
means-
making my vision come true.
That means
great.
Nicole will have a nice comfy couch for you to come and lay on. and
Absolutely.
tell her all about
Absolutely.
your stresses. Well, we thank you. Thank you all for joining us and being with us. And we will be back next week. Same time, same place. And we're out.